I'm not over it yet.
Yeah.
Have a test here.
Oh, it was a great weekend. Actually, I went through 3 texts from someone up there that I think is just like. Yeah.
It would have been a better football game than last year.
Yeah, reading later.
When they planned them like 6 years ago, you know, like that.
Thank you.
Call meeting to order at all rise for pledge of allegiance, gentlemen with that.
Which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Present.
Sure.
Here.
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 Thank you. Okay, we have the approval of the meeting agenda. Board members, you should have got the agenda already, as well as it was published. There is one change this evening only. There is an addition to number 12, which is to accept the clerk, and I'll let her explain it when we get there, but the clerk's office applied for a $5,000 grant from the 2024 rural and new metro election infrastructure grant. And what we'll be doing is looking to authorize the clerk to sign the grant. It's not a shared grant type thing, it's an outright grant to assist with the paying of the election folks, since there have been 3 elections this year. So, board members, you got that in your packet, was in your boxes. I didn't see a purpose not add it this evening. It's boilerplate, and I would think we'd want to use that 5,000 to defer some across the record. So, that being said, I would accept a motion to approve the meeting agenda with the addition of number 12, as I had just indicated. I'll make that motion. Moved by trustee Newton, support.
I'll support that.
Supported by trustee Austin. It's an old. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you. We are now on to the approval of the consent agenda as they are listed. Motion to accept that report.
Make that motion.
Moved by Clerk Squires. Support.
I'll support that.
Support by trustee Hoppy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. That motion carries. And then we're to the elected officials' reports. They are again out there. Please pick them up. We've taken time to print them all with the spirit of transparency. Please pick them up. They will also be on the internet, the website, so that you can look at them at your leisure as well if you don't choose a hard copy tonight. I would love to see people take hard copies. I think I've said it before now for several months. We're trying to reach a sweet spot here, not just waste paper. Love to communicate with everybody, but I'd like to see people take the stuff that we put out for communication. All right. Shall we have a motion to put those on file? Would you like to do that this time? Would you like to just type them out? Discussion. What's that? I said, would you like to make a motion to place those on proper file? We can do that. In the past, I know you just referred to them out there. Making that part of permanent records for there, so I think maybe it might be appropriate that in the future that we authorize those as a board members. That we indeed are placing, accept them and place them on file. Pretty simple motion. Anybody want to do that?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so you want to do that for the future?
Don't care. They're online,
Is there anybody else that cares?
Here.
You care? Okay, I got a motion by trustee, Oppie, and supported by clerk Squires. Any further discussion about placing those on file? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, oppose the same, the motion carries. When clerk Squires, if in the next agenda, we can want us spot in there for a motion. In future agendas as well. I'm gonna try something else tonight. In the past, boards have tried it on and off, and I really haven't heard much about yay or nay, whether people like it, don't like it. Which is there anybody in the audience that would like to comment on our action items this evening? We do discuss these rather ad nauseum at a meeting on Thursday mornings at 9 o'clock. That are lasting sometimes 2.5, 3 hours long. And I know the discussion is what people like to see the most. This is an action meeting where we act on those items that we discussed. If all board members are comfortable with their paperwork. So that being said, is there any member of the audience that would like to comment on 1 through 12 of our agenda tonight before we vote on those?
I'd like to say one thing though. I'd like to see that as a regular public comment before you get into the things on the agenda, because there may be people that want to talk about those things.
Yep, I've heard that mentioned at a meeting or two before. And I know that it was done for a small period of time and then it went away. And I'm looking to find something that is fairly tailored, if you will, and I'm happy to provide that board. I don't know how you all feel about it. I know it's been on, it's been off, and I just would like to quit vacillating and get consistent.
I think that giving the opportunity as a standard agenda item is a good option. If nothing happens, nothing's done, we move on, but not, have to worry about excluding any comments of the commission here they might give us.
So I think I'm hearing you say you're in favor of a comment section before on the agenda items as listed. Okay. Anybody else, board members?
I agree. We should be able to comment before we proceed.
Yep, I agree also.
The Squires comment?
I agree. I definitely just want to encourage everybody to come to our work session, so that is where the work gets done. These meetings are basically for what's already been discussed. And I understand, it's through the daytime, we can't always make it happen for you guys there. We have been putting them on YouTube. So you can always go back and look at the things that were talked about after the fact. So it doesn't have to be at the time the meeting is actually transpired. But yeah, I agree, there should be room for public comment.
Okay, that's merely an operational piece as we create an agenda. I have no issue with giving one of those on there, but I want everybody to understand. It's 3 minutes in good times, it's 3 minutes in challenging times, whether it's the first section of public comment or the second, just to be very clear with the intent up front. It always works well when everybody's loving on each other. And it doesn't work so well sometimes if people are getting heated about issues. And so I just want to make sure that we're very clear and upfront with that communication. So that being said, board members, you can look forward to next month that occurring as well as the other motion to accept our board reports. Okay, as a full ballot. Thank you. Okay, anybody else have any comment? All right, very good. We're going to move right on to the agenda. Number one, I think I'd like to have Chief Fisher come on up. we've got 1 and 2 tonight, our recommendations from Chief Fisher, so maybe he can give us all a brief as well. Go ahead.
Thanks, Brian. We're gonna have 2 new employees starting this week as long as we get approved here tonight. This is Wesley Eldred. He's coming to us from downstate, actually moved up here recently. Thanks. You okay without this?
He can't on the Zoom.
The TV, you weren't there.
Yeah.
All right, so, he comes from us from downstate and has some fire experience on the fire department down there, is actually not just a firefighter, but a fire officer level 3. And so he's got some good experience he's bringing with us. He works full time outside of here, but will be a volunteer firefighter for us in the future here. So we want to welcome Wesley as well. And then Brandon Sargent is joining us as well. He wasn't able to be here tonight. He also has another full-time job and will be a volunteer firefighter for us. He's a younger guy, about 22 or 23, and just got his fire training recently, and so he'll be joining our membership as well and being available when he's available outside of his normal job. So want to welcome both these guys aboard as long as we go through this tonight. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome, Wes. Thanks for coming. Always good to put a face in the name. I appreciate that. Before we take a motion on Wes first, or any board member have any questions of Chief Fisher or otherwise? Before we do that?
No.
Okay, awesome. Then at this time, I would entertain a motion to board approve the hiring of Wesley Eldred as an on-call part-time firefighter, providing the proper background check and drug screening is.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by trustee Newton, excuse me,
I'll support that.
supported by trustee Appy. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you. Welcome aboard, Wes.
Thank you.
I will also tell you that as I tell everyone that visits us, that I always want to give you an opportunity to jettison if you feel like you need to leave this evening. You will not offend me or any of the board members. We do appreciate you showing though. Very good, and you're welcome to do that too. I just have visited many board meetings in my day across different boards, and there's been times you never know whether you have permission or not. So just want to make it clear. Thank you. On to number 2, which is the motion that the board approve the hiring of Brandon Sargent as an on-call part-time firefighter, providing, of course, a background check and drug screenings are as appropriate.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Clerk Squires,
I'll support that.
support by trustee Appy. Any further discussion, board? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. We're on to number 3, that there was a request by trustee Newton a while ago, actually, a couple meetings ago, to have the board entertain switching our amount of garage sales that we allow. In the original garage sale ordinance, it only provided 2, and so trustee Newton had apparently thought maybe we should go to 3.
I had lots of input from residents that was like,
It all the holiday sales, right?
that's right.
And what sales?
All the holidays, you gotta have all the holidays.
Oh, the full
That's
3
free.
holidays.
Big 3.
I guess I never thought about that. Okay, well, that's a great piece of information. Anyways, so I would entertain a motion at this time that the board approve an amendment to the to the garage/yard sale ordinance number 18 and the associated permit to reflect the change to section 3, time and duration of sales, to permit a garage sale, yard sale, porch sale, or any other sale offering incidental and or sundry items for sale shall be permitted on any one parcel or lot of the property only 3 times during any 1 year, and at no time shall such sale have a duration of more than 3 days.
Since I have both feet there, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. I'm glad I don't have to read it again. Is there support? Okay, we have a motion by trustee Newton, supported by clerk Squires. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. And clerk squires, obviously that will require a publication as well. All right, we're on to number 4. And that is the authorization, basically, of the payment for the environmental Great Lakes and energy permit for our compost site. For those of you that haven't seen our work sessions, it's been on again, off again, fit again, essentially with the Eagle, whether we needed to or not needed to. We are definitely in a need to mode now. Myself and the vendor that takes care of the everyday operations, Jim Osley in particular, he and I got together and got the permit submitted via online. And now it's going to take an ACH payment for the permit, for the payment for the permit in order to get it into full force. We have by November to get it done, so. So I would entertain that the board authorize the clerk and treasurer to initiate an ACH payment of $750 to Eagle for the 5-year permit required for our compost facility.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by trustee Duke,
I'll support that.
supported by trustee Hoppy. Any further discussion, board? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, the same, motion carries. But obviously, I envision that in the future, as it stays within the realm of a spending confine, that will become an operational thing, obviously, 5 years from now and that type of thing, unless the fees for Eagle go up to be
increase, yeah,
as
yeah.
$5,000 or something. So anyways, thank you. We'll get that executed and so we can get our proper permit. Also, we're on to number 5. Number 5 is the termination of an open contract with Martell Forest Industry. For those of you that haven't been present for any of the discussions, a couple of years ago in 2022, the township had entered into a contract in December with Martell Forestry Incorporated, which was essentially, he was evaluating and marking a potential thinning out project of forestry back here behind the township hall with the dead trees and the like. And at this point in time, we just don't feel like we can make that decision to go do that. There's kind of a lot of balls up in the air right now with materials management that may be coming down the pipe. We don't know how much. We may need more room for the compost site. We're not sure. The fire department obviously went down. However, I'm sure it's not going to be a total non-existent look into the future. And so it might be more wise to basically slow that down. The amount of money that we're going to get for that is not tangible to any real budgetary situation here. So that being said, we do want to terminate the contract because it was signed as an open-ended contract. And so we want to make sure that we contact them and terminate this thing. And then once we decide what we're going to do, and if we do, it's not that we're unhappy with him. He's fantastic to deal with, a wonderful individual company. So that being said, I would entertain a motion the board authorize Supervisor Hill to take steps required to terminate the 12/13/2022 current open-ended professional forestry service agreement with Keith R. Martell Jr. doing business as Martell Forestry Incorporated.
I'll make that motion.
Larry, thank you for the motion,
I'll support that.
supported by trustee Hoppy. Thank you. Any further discussion, board? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. On to the next item on the agenda, which is the employee agreement assessor of record. And once again, for those that haven't visited us at work sessions or otherwise, it came to our attention that the IRS regulation had changed. We do subcontract our services for assessing out to MVW Associates, and specifically our representative there is Julie Hitchell. And in order to comply with the IRS regulation, it kind of conflicts with what I call subcontract law. You subcontract with somebody so that you're not involved in paying taxes and whatever. They have their own means and methods to do so. However, the IRS regulation says that they also have to be listed as an employee. So that being said, we sought out legal counsel to potentially look at what a solution is. After a couple months back and forth, we would come up with a solution. And the solution is that we create so that we're not paying any more money. And usually her fee is $300 to other townships that have experienced this. So what we have done is we choose to amend an employee agreement for the assessor record. And then, of course, obviously, we are also going to amend the agreement for the assessing services. So we're addressing both sides. The pay or the money is equal, but it satisfies both ends of what we need to satisfy legally, as I'm told by our counsel. And I have discussed it with them, with MBW and Julie. She's fine with it. And once approved, she's willing to sign, and I will definitely get that done for the board on the board's behalf, and it will straighten the file out appropriately. So that being said, with my long-windedness, I would entertain a motion that the board approve the proposed employee agreement, assessor of record document, and authorize Supervisor Hill and Clerk Squires to sign on behalf of the township. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Treasurer Kruger.
I'll support.
Supported by Trustee Newton. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Takes care of one half of the equation. Now we're on to the second half of that equation, and that is that the board make a motion to approve the proposed amendment to agreement for assessing services and to authorize Supervisor Hill and Clerk Squires to sign on behalf of the township. A motion
make that motion.
moved by Clerk Squires, supported by Treasurer Kruger. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. The next item up is that the board has to approve the appointment, obviously, to a couple board positions in the next two motions. So I would entertain a motion that the board approve the appointment of James Thorburn, actually, I believe it is. Is it with an R? I thought it was Thorburn. Okay, Thorburn. The Gerrish Township Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term expiring 12/31 of 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Trustee Newton,
I'll support that.
support by Trustee Hoppy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We have another motion here also for the board appointment, and I would entertain a motion that the board approve the appointment of Michael Briggs to the Gerrish Township Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term expiring 12/31 of 27.
I'll make that motion.
And motion, Trustee Hoppy, I'll support, supported by Trustee Newton. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Number 10, we're on to the approval of a budget for the 2025-2026 fire protection and emergency medical services. And I'll read it, it's lengthy, but it's required to be. Move that the township board. I'll make the motion, by the way. Move that the township board determines fire protection and emergency medical services to be in the best interest of the township, and that a special assessment district be created under the provision of PA 81 of 1989, in which costs of such services shall be assessed according to benefits. Total budget for the fire protection and emergency medical services for the 2026 fiscal year has been determined to be $2,493,519, with $642,006 in capital equipment carryover, $151,282 in durable equipment carryover, $101,495 in durable equipment EMS carryover, and $228,417 in capital projects carryover. The special assessment district shall contain all taxable property within the township of Gerrish with the millage rate to be 3.03 mils. No increase from the prior rate to yield $2,493,519. This is a roll call vote. Time to make the motion. Supported by Treasurer Kruger. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Clerk Squires,
Yes.
trustee Newton,
Yes.
trustee Abby,
Yes.
treasurer Kruger,
Yes.
supervisor Hill.
Yes. Thank you. So that. Motion carried. Okay, we're on to the next item on the agenda, which is an approval of the 2025-2026 police protection services. And I, once again, would move that the township board determines police protection to be in the best interest of the township, and that a special assessment district to be created under the provisions of PA 81 of 1989, which the cost of such service shall be assessed according to benefits. The total budget for police protection for 2025-2026 has been determined to be $1,048,014, to include $124,402 in carryover. The special assessment district shall contain all taxable value within the township, with the millage rate to be 2.39 mils, with no increase from the previous year, to yield $923,612. I have made the motion. Do we have support? Support by Treasurer Kruger. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Treasurer Kruger,
Yes.
trustee Newton,
Yes.
clerk Squires,
Yes.
trustee Abby,
Yes.
supervisor Hill.
Yes. Motion passes. Then we're on to the additional number 12. And again, I explained that at the very beginning. Any board members have any questions on that before I craft a motion? No? Okay. I would move that the township board accept the clerk's $5,000 2024 rural and non-metro election infrastructure grant, and authorize the clerk to sign for such grant. Any support by Treasurer Kruger. Any further discussion, board? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those the same, that motion is carried. We are now to the point in time that we have public comment, second portion of public comment. Come on up, introduce yourself. And you'll have the floor, push the button on the microphone so that you're,
But how would you prefer that be?
I would just prefer you face the board. That's where you're facing, you're talking to us. There's a microphone and they get to listen.
I'm Vanessa Varner. I'm the Emergency Management Director for Roscommon County. I'm here to talk with you all about the Emergency Management Operations Millage that's on the ballot for November 5th. What I wanted to do was do some education about emergency management, because we all grow up knowing what police officers are, what firefighters are, and that's something that you all have supported here tonight. But we forget and we don't really know what emergency management is. Emergency management's been in Roscommon County and active initially as civil defense starting February 11th, 1975. I found out about it and I feel that I'm a pretty educated citizen about 5 years ago. So if that tells you anything, and I took this job about going on 3 years ago. So But what we do is we plan for emergencies, we respond when they happen, and we help recover afterwards. This millage is important for a variety of reasons, because it's going to fund the department. It's going to make it so that we can do the projects that need to be done, that we've been talking about in our hazard mitigation plan for the last decade. We've been talking about the need to do and own as a county electronic, digital signs that can relay messages. Chief and I spent hours trying to access those signs for the 4th of July weekend, and we couldn't rent signs, we couldn't borrow signs. They run about $20,000 a piece. I don't have money in my budget to do a match for projects like that, but a millage like this to offset and have actual funds for projects would make it so that I could write those grants and actually be successful in getting them, because I would have the funds. Emergency management not only does things for events and planning like that, but when an actual disaster occurs, I'm gonna give you the Brook Fire, for instance, that happened in June of 22. I was responsible for assisting in getting those residents evacuated off of the scene. I made the phone calls to the transit authority to get the busing to happen. The Red Cross came in, courtesy of the relationship that I had with them, and provided food for breakfast the next morning, toothbrushes, blankets, medicines, care items, because it's not like anybody was grabbing their toothbrush when they were being evacuated out. That's just a little bit of what I do. I work with all of our schools on their mapping, making sure that all of our first responders know how to get into our school buildings if there's a violent incident that occurs. Everything that I do, it's not to pretend that it's never gonna happen to our community, because we're just one day away. We've had tornadoes hit literally everywhere around our county. It's a matter of when it's going to happen here. And I'm trying to make sure that our county is as prepared as we possibly can be, so that we can do what we need to do when the time comes. This operations millage is going to generate $177,937.88 in its first year. It's a 0.1 mil millage. It collects 10 cents on every $1,000 of taxable value. It's a drop in the bucket. Our trash bills are higher. So I want to bring that into perspective for everybody, that my entire department will be funded on less than what our trash bills are every year. And I want to thank you guys for your time for being here. I did make flyers for everybody.
Any board members have
Is
questions?
this the new millage?
This is a brand new millage that will only be for the emergency management department.
How long is it gonna be for?
4 years, sir.
Where'd you get your money before?
Currently, it's out of the general fund,
Of the county?
correct?
How much are they spending now?
115,000, and that other 63,000, I'm hoping will be able to be for these capital projects.
You said it's dedicated to, it doesn't get sucked up by the general fund. in the
Correct.
future?
It is solely, the language is for funding a full-time emergency management department.
A little history, because I have a lot of it, and a little history is many moons ago, emergency management was in, actually, they put the county clerk used to have that position for a small extra stipend out of the general fund. Over the years, there's been a constant argument over, they funded it to 20 hours a week. And then they refinagled and tried to put it together interiorly so that they could make it 40 hours a week. Simply put, we lose more money by not funding it in grant opportunities back into the county through emergency management. I'm not stumping for it, I'm just telling you facts. I did set as a favor when one of the emergency managers left, just keep our irons in the fire in the regional area. And to make sure that monies that were going to be granted, we might actually get a foot in the bag, that we kept our foot in the circle. I'm disappointed that obviously when budgets have problems, they have a tendency of looking at essential services as a means in which to put it out there. I've worked with Vanessa for 3 or 4 years on the emergency planning board, very organized individual. And probably has done more in 4 years than previous have accomplished essentially. So be ashamed to lose that ultimately. So that's just my private 2 cents. I'm not stumping politically or otherwise, just factual basis. This county is large enough that it needs the full-time. I wish the county commissioners would prioritize it instead of putting it out once again for an essential service type of thing where it could pass or fail. So thank you. I appreciate you coming tonight, public comments, and letting the public know that, yeah, indeed, it's out there. And thank you much and good luck.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vanessa.
Any other public comments this evening? Come on, sir, come on up here and state your name, please. And you have our attention.
Hello, my name is George Courier and lakefront owner. I'm right between Old Comfort Point and Detroit Point, and we have that basin is very shallow. And we use our boat, in fact, we were out skiing today, but we use our boat right through September. And I know the lake levels, I don't know what dictates them dropping right after Labor Day. But I was wondering, is there any way that date can be moved like to the end of the month? So you can, because I know I'm not the only one that has trouble getting the boat off the hoist. You know, I mean, they dropped it, it seems like 6 inches, maybe a little more, but it's pretty drastic because we're a pretty shallow bay. And I'm just wondering, I guess, what dictates the dropping. I understand the winter that we want it dropped, but why is it dropped so early in the fall?
I wish I could tell you. I've been a spectator for 42 years of this lake level issue and the numerous court cases that are there. There are different viewpoints as to how the lake gets to the low level. Some have been that the dam is not properly maintained. There's lawsuits there. We simply, as Gerrish Township, believe it or not, we have simply literally no skin in the game. It's determined by the circuit court in Roscommon County through a lawsuit and a lake level that was determined. There are numerous suits, I think even federally now, about that precise issue. I feel your pain. I try to put a boat in and out of Kelly Beach, and it's beautiful at the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, it's just not happening. The lake is pretty low, and there are numerous arguments on both sides of the fence. And hopefully we'll get some clarity. I think there might be a hearing tomorrow, actually, September 12th. You may want to go into the Roscommon County Courthouse. There's a hearing September 12th. That is correct.
Oh, Thursday.
Is that Thursday?
Thursday.
It's Thursday.
What time is that?
Don't know, but if you go on to the county website, thank you, Greg,
It's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, there you go, 2 o'clock, and you can have a front row seat as to that actual discussion. I don't wish we had more to do with it because it is just, it's been shall I say, it's just been an up and down thing for years, and I hope there'll be some resolution to it one way or another so that our community can coalesce around something.
Great.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
thank you for the.
Thanks
info.
for coming tonight, I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Anybody else in the audience? I think we have one on Zoom. One on Zoom. Any Zoom question?
Rob, any Zoom question there?
Going once? Going twice. So I would do we have any announcements, board members? Or Joe?
I can't think of anything. I haven't checked on the parks, the Carlos Park, we're having repetition, or things happening here. There, I haven't been out there this week yet. But I do want to thank Michelle for getting that $5,000 grant.
We need more money.
I know, thank you for doing the work.
It was Lynn actually, and it wasn't that.
Okay, thanks, Lynn.
We're looking for more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are, thank
Okay,
you.
very good. Announcement, party comments, clerk squares.
We need trunks for trunk or treat. We need lots of trunks. So everybody is welcome to participate and encouraged. Ballots will probably be in next week and we will start getting the absentee ballots out. Cause it's gonna be election time again. That's about it.
Okay, very good. Trustee Newcomb.
The only thing I want to say is, I did get a hold of Roscommon St. Helen Monument. And they did agree to donate the headstone for the Potter's Field.
Nice.
So I just thought I'd
Thank you, Terry.
let you know about that, and I have written a letter, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks for listening to the work session, and thank you to Roscommon St. Helen Monument for their generosity to help us mark our Potter's Field.
She sent it down, and hopefully she's gonna get it this month, but if not October.
Awesome.
But and we're going to install it, so they don't have to worry.
They're good, so thank you.
That'll be in there.
Thanks, Terry.
I think it would be nice if the board wrote them a letter, maybe we sign it, thanking them for their participation, somewhere, only because it's good advertising for everybody that, you know, that's being done and they're helping us do it.
Very good. You make a note of that,
Gotcha.
on that, and we'll get something done. Problem. Just, from me on the announcement, you just missed the torch run that just happened. This that one. Yeah, the next thing up, obviously, for the PD and Act now is the large project or trunk or treat, so. And also for me, I spent about 4 or 5 hours on the website this morning, still working my way through the old one. I do have good news. The good news is it looks like we may be able to, a little before October 1, get the brand new website up, which might actually have some buttons and some things that might be more friendly to operate. And from the backside user, I'm hoping it's more friendly to be able to place items on. And so we can get rid of that cluttered up looking front page of a home page of an old thing to click to something else type of situation. So we're working on all the things we say we're working on. We've been working on. Hopefully we'll get that project all sewed up here very shortly. What else?
Well,
What's that?
we have water.
The continuing and ongoing saga of water. As of this afternoon, they promised me our water results here. We still don't have them back from the second test. We got our well drilled and we put in the tank, and the minute we put things up to pressure, this old building shoved it on down to the hot water heater and destroyed the hot water heater. And created a leaking hot water heater, and so in looking to replace the hot water heater, this building has a 40-gallon residential hot water heater. It's also in a mechanical room that can't handle anything more than probably a 40-gallon hot water heater. We pivoted and moved fairly quickly where we should be getting a tankless coming in here very shortly, contracted with a plumbing company. And then, of course, they tested our water initially and on coliform, obviously. So we're running it, got a new test. We're working with the health department all the way around to get that done. And to get it up and functional, get a good baseline for this building at this point. And so they were supposed to have results back by probably 4:30 this afternoon if it was, but they're bound by 24 hours and they were here yesterday. So as soon as we get it, we'll know what we need to do. We may need to rechlorinate the well. I don't know what that's going to wind up being. And I don't know whether that's even in the normal course of things or whether that's just an add-on bill you tag on to. Yep. And so anyways, it's just the daily run of the mill just seems like it's always one thing if it's not another, so. Other than that, I accept the motion to.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
the road cleanup coming
Oh,
up,
yeah, 18,
18th.
September 18th.
September 18th at 4 p.m. at the ED.
Yeah, the more the merrier, we have pizza and pop afterwards, and when I say the more the merrier, the quicker it gets done, it's from Pioneer Hill all the way down to Hillsdale. On both sides of the road for the fall cleanup, so yes, anybody that's interested, you don't need to be a member of nothing, just be a citizen. And don't mind putting on some long pants and picking up some trash. In concert, the road commission will pick that stuff up for us. Trash, that's a beautiful thing. The comment on that, we've gone through a rough summer. They've had some driver issues, medical issues, things like that. We've had depot, we actually had the operations manager and the depot manager driving trucks, trying to make sure that all of our trash gets picked up. And certainly they're not perfect. And sometimes some of those drivers have been double shifting. I've had mine picked up at 9:30 at night before because they're simply not enough. And they're double shifting, and then they can't go any later than that because where they dump it closes. And also what it does cause is one driver doesn't know the other driver's route, so it's trying to figure it all out and put it together. I think they've done a rather good job, despite the fact that we hear most every day of something that's something didn't get picked up. I will tell you that if you call GFL and you email GFL's dispatch, I just had a mattress picked up today. I called them on Friday and said, hey, I want to put out a mattress. When could I expect a delivery or a pickup on that? And they say they maintain a list so that as those all kind of pile up, the drivers are supposed to tell the dispatch where those locations are. And we all know we've seen a mattress for a couple of weeks hanging out someplace. So let's just not sit and watch it. Nobody likes a wet mattress. Certainly if you give us a call or you give the GFL or an email, they're really diligent. And if you can coordinate with them, they don't sit out because they pick them right up. Mine got picked right up today. I watched him when I went home for lunch, and one driver picked it up, put it in there himself, full queen size mattress. So anyways, that's all I have. Anybody else? Board? Anything? All right, very good. Then I would entertain a motion then to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by trustee Newton,
I'll second that.
supported by trustee Appy. Any further discussion, board? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming out and visiting with us tonight. Appreciate it.